Well, I tell you this, the amount of learnings that I've had in 63 weeks and counting from business and leadership stories, this particular show, I've seldom had from any other show that I've been involved with. And many thanks in particular to Sachin Bhandary, my friend from the Story Co., who comes in week after week, wraps his little messages up in story form, and then sucks out a wonderful tip for us to learn from and move ahead with in our professional as well as our personal life. 64 episodes. This is episode number 64. And today, it is about what one can learn from Vipassana. Vipassana actually literally means to observe life, to observe breath. And for those of you who've had the good fortune having gone to Igatpuri or many of the other centers that exist around this country as well as the subcontinent, as well as around the world now, and partake of the teachings of the great Sri S.N. Goenka. It is not religious at all. It is a spiritual thought, which is why, unlike other philosophies, the Guru is not worshipped as God, which I think is very, very spectacular. And I've had the good fortune of going to a couple of courses in Igatpuri. Sachin Bhandary, good to see you, my brother. How are you?
See you too. And I didn't know actually that you've...
Surprise. I don't look like the kind who would, right?
Yeah, for someone who makes a living from talking, being silent for 10
Well,
days.
you know, it's a vow of silence that you undertake for 9 days, 9.5 days actually. And the 10th day, you break your vow of silence and you don't really feel like talking too much. And dinner's done by about 6:30. Breakfast is really early, 6 a.m. Your lunch is 11 a.m. And the rest of the time, you're just meditating all the time. How beautiful.
Yeah.
Where do business and Vipassana meet, my friend?
So Vipassana, this technique was discovered by Gautama Buddha. After he discovered it, it's something that he taught a lot of people. And when, I'm sure that you heard this story too, when in the 10-day discourse, there's one story that Sri S.N. Goenka narrates about the Buddha. And it's about Buddha and the man from Magadha. So a gentleman used to attend Buddha's sermons every day, and he would see that a lot of people were there. And one day he arrived early, much before everyone else, so that he could have a chat with the wise one, with the Buddha. And he asked the Buddha that, I come here every day, and I see that there are so many people who attend your talks, your teachings, and some of them have achieved enlightenment. There are others who are on the path of progress. Yet, there are others who don't seem to make any progress. And then there are those like me who probably don't get better, get worse. How is it possible that an enlightened person like you, who's talking and teaching people, and yet there are people who are not getting any benefit from it? I'm just, surprised by this. Why aren't you doing things within your power to make sure that everybody who comes here makes some progress or becomes the enlightened one? So apparently the Buddha used to love inquiry. So he told the gentleman that I'm really grateful for your question. But young man, I can look at you and I realize that you're not from Vaishali, the place where they were having this conversation. He said, yes, I'm from Magadha. And he said, do you have family in Magadha? Do you go to Magadha often? He said, yes, I go there twice every year. And then there must be a lot of people who know that you come from that place, and hence when they are going to Magadha, they ask you for directions. Do you provide directions to them? He said, yes, I tell them that you keep walking west and you cross the city of Kashi and eventually you would reach Magadha. That's how it is. So then the Buddha says, which means that if you show them the way, if you show them the directions, that itself is enough that they would reach Magadha on their own. They don't have to walk, right? And then the man says, enlightened one, how is that even possible? I can only show the way, but they have to walk to get to Magadha. And he says, Buddha says, exactly, that's what it is. All I can do is I can show the way to people, but whether they decide to walk on the path of enlightenment or not is up to them. I cannot do anything. So that's the anecdote.
What I did forget to add was you meditate through the day, you have those 3 meals that we talked about. At the end of the day, 8:30 p.m., there is a discourse by Goenka ji, which is a video discourse because the late and great man is not with us anymore. You can choose a Hindi version or an English version. And these tales are extremely witty. He says, for example, he'll say, I'm married, and by proof, I have this, I have some FT proof. And he'll point to his, large wife, Shri Goenka, Mrs. Goenka. And it's all taken in wonderful spirit by the students, Mrs. Goenka herself, Mr. Goenka, and these lectures from which he has partaken from
Yes.
are truly extraordinary. So, just to put it in a nugget, what are the modern day marketing and communication tips that we can learn from that?
So the communication tip, Rishi, is fairly simple. That much like these conversations that we've been having, and I know a lot of people who do a lot of reading and learning from YouTube, innumerable number of podcasts and all that. But unless and until you decide to walk on the path or practice good communication tips and skills, it will all come to naught. Much like this gentleman who said that people should become enlightened just by listening to the Buddha. So if you're listening to your favorite YouTuber, probably even listening to this show, but you don't choose to use any of the inputs that we give in this show, then it's not going to help much. So you will have to walk the path to become a better communicator. And I'm hoping that all of you are taking some steps at least.
If you're HR for a human resource department person from a company and you'd like him to talk to your employees and workshop with them, or even do one-on-one sessions with them or top management, I highly advocate you reach out to Sachin Bhandary. His Win with Stories newsletter on LinkedIn is something that I've drawn from in a myriad of ways. How can one reach out to you, my friend? And there's this wonderful community that you formed.
Yes.
How can people be part of that?
Fairly simple. Look for Sachin Bhandary on LinkedIn. Sachin is easy. Bhandary is Bhandary. On my profile, there's a link which says get in touch or stay in touch. You can click on that link, subscribe to my newsletter. Also set up a call with me if you're a corporate and you want me to come and help your team win with stories or become better leaders. Also, we've started a new community where people practice their business storytelling and communication skills by narrating 90-second stories. So if you want to attend the community meeting as a visitor, before you decide to become a part of it for the long term, you can do that as well by clicking one of the links there as well. So
I'm going to see you next week, my friend. Yeah. Remember, you can catch us 8 to 8:30 a.m. on audio form, 94.3 of the FM band, Mumbai, Delhi, Bengaluru, Chennai, every Tuesday. 48 hours later, we're in full glory in video form in the Mint YouTube channel. So search for Mint on YouTube and we will pop up. That's Business and Leadership Stories. Till next week, my friend. Cheers.
look forward.